Let's start the last part of this chapter 2, connected to the formation stage of the research objective. Here we will explore two different techniques, the so-called SMART approach and also the approach from the textbook of the course unit. I call it FERDO. Recall that we have explored different techniques to gather enough information around our problem. We have talked about the problem statement and how that information is part of the exploration phase of the research objective. Now is the turn of the formulation stage, and here we have one of the first tools provided by the authors of the book of the course unit. I call this tool the FERDO. In principle, the research objective should be useful. Where is the relevance? What's going to be the contribution? But also should be realistic. Is the system well scoped? It's part of a bigger system? And also should be feasible. Do we have the expertise? Do we need to learn new techniques? Do we have access to the data? Where is that information when formulating the research objective? Now it should be clear, precise language that formulates the objective in the proper way. And finally, informative. So in the objective, we should see whether there are going to be new insights or we will get new knowledge. Connected, of course, to the quote that I provided at the very beginning of the course. The second tool that you can use is the so-called SMART tool, proposed firstly by Doran in 1981, and later on was reformulated and fine-tuned by Bjerke and Renger in 2013. You can find both papers in our Nestor tool. The objective is SMART because it should be specific. It should be connected to one particular area of interest or the connection of different areas. It's also specific because given a bigger system, you can scope it down to one subsystem. It should be measurable, and this is highly connected to the stakeholder analysis. We go from vague language, from the desires of the stakeholders, to real technical specifications that you can measure. And that information can be also part of the research objective. In principle, it should be also attainable because we would like to achieve the objective with the given amount of resources. And also it should be relevant, meaning the contribution of the objective. Once we achieve the objective, there should be a clear contribution in terms of insights, knowledge, or an artifact that has solved the problem. And finally, it should be time-bound. There should be a clear path in terms of the planning of the project. There should be a clear amount of time where the project will be executed, and it should be part of the formulation stage of the objective. The SMART tool should not be treated just as a tool for ticking boxes, just to fill in gaps, just following blindly the recipe. We should be smart when using the SMART tool, and actually this also applies for the FERDO tool. The authors of the paper of 2013 propose a two-step method in order to properly make use of the tool. The two-step method proposed by the authors is as follows. Certainly, the research objective should be relevant, measurable, and specific, and that information will come directly from the problem formulation, the analysis, and the problem statement. In principle, we should have enough information there. But if we talked about the objective being achievable and the time boundness of the objective, that's information that can be in principle negotiable. It's a little bit more uncertain. Then the authors say that the first step is specific, measurable, and relevant. And once this is clarified, and once this is written, then we can dig into the attainability and the time boundness of the objective. This is the end of the second chapter. A chapter that was connected to tools and methods to properly define your problem statement, and also connected to the exploration and formulation phases of the research objective. Now we are ready to go to the next chapters of the book in terms of the research questions, research framework, And finally, defining concepts.